A little girl with mousy brown hair sits on a chair. A cold, stiff plastic chair. Her tiny hands cling to the bottom of it. It's the only thing that's keeping her connected to reality. The room has a lack of decoration. It reeks. The smell is unbearable. There's a window that a little girl could see through if she stood on her tippy toes. But it's not a window to outside. It's a window to an office. An office of a police station. That's where she is. A little girl who's not yet old enough to know her times tables is left clinging to a chair. She's waiting for her dad to return home from war. But not the kind of war you're thinking of, oh no. The war with his hands that he can't seem to control as he sticks the needle into his arm. The war with sadness, depression, and guilt. So much of it that he's trying so hard to breathe in and breathe out, but he can't because every single time he opens his mouth, more emotions flood in and drown him. And he's losing the war. He wants to see his little girl, but he can't this time. And the little girl is taken home by her mother. It's 5 years later. The little girl with mousy brown hair, dyed it blonde now. She stops waiting for her dad, but she never gave up hope. Instead of clinging to a chair, she's clinging to the thought deep inside her brain that her dad will come and save her from this mess of a home. Her mother found another. He steps in, trying to fill the empty feeling that she has in her gut from her dad being gone. But he can't. Nothing can. And she has a war of her own now. A war with striving to be perfect. A war with having to force herself to eat every single day because she doesn't want to. A war with anxiety because her hands hold a slight tremor and every time she speaks, her voice shakes. A war she wonders if she would have to fight at all if her dad just came home. It's 5 years later. The girl who dyed her hair blonde had dyed her hair blue now. She lost hope from her dad to come and return home from the war. That's because he's dead. The war with his hands and his needles was too much for him and he gave in. He lost the war. And this leaves the little girl who isn't little anymore broken. Instead of there being a hollow feeling inside her chest, it swallows up her entire being. She's a delicate piece of glass, and one wrong move, and she cracks. But now, her war has to do with her hands too. But not the needles in her hands, oh no. Her hands that she can't seem to control as she takes a razor blade and takes it across her wrists. The war that tells her she shouldn't eat. The war that tells her she's not good enough. The war that drains her of all hope and motivation, leaving her soulless. She doesn't want to lose the war like her dad, but she fears she's starting to. Dreading the day when somebody messes up and instead of getting a crack in her intricate heart made of glass, it shatters, and she loses the war like her dad. And as sad as it is broken as the little girl is, she's strong. And she's determined. And her dad taught her things that he never could have if he was here. She is learning slowly every single day how to win the war. And sometimes she loses battles. And sometimes she wants to give up and she doesn't care if she wins the war or not. But she's strong. And she wins the next war. She wins the next battle. And the next one. And she keeps going. Keeps going until she wins the final war. She wins the war that her dad just couldn't.